Gabriel Iglesias is my guest here today. Fluffy guy sitting right around the corner from me. We had a big-ass conference table at what I call Fluffy World. Damn, Fluffy, it's good to see you. How are you?
First things first, I just want to make sure that you hit the record button.
Man, the
I'm not going to let you live that one down.
Golly, man. Y'all know what happened last time Fluffy came to the house. Look at that. See, it's recording.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
Sound is good.
It
I got
says
the
sound is
external
good.
mics going.
It's
Everything
recording.
seems like it's going
Okay.
good. I could have done a check 1, 2, check 1, 2, but hey, you give me a little bit of. I appreciate you giving me some grief because I deserved it. Man, that look I had on my face, and then I gave you the bad news that I had the pause button pushed, and the look on your eyes, and you just gave me another hour. Brother, you were
man.
to Call of Duty.
I love the fact that it took you the whole hour to realize. Oh.
And the thing about it was that stuff, and we're rolling family friendly here today, but that stuff was just so off the chart comedy gold, and you can't recreate it.
You can't.
We didn't. So we went down a different road. But god dang, man, that was some of the best stuff I'd ever done.
Yeah, man, that was a lot of fun. But I was just like, It was so funny too because it's very rare that I've seen you look like, man, I've never seen you as a person that apologizes because I don't see you making too many mistakes. So the fact that you had this look on your face like, oh wow, like I'm gonna have to feed this dude. This is going to cost me lunch.
One of the things about it also was, I think, dude, this was the time where I was on a wagon, and you brought over a fifth of tequila. We drank there almost all the tequila.
And you know what? You didn't tell me you were on the wagon.
Well, I was trying to be professional on the podcast. I don't want to get all slopped up, but that's become kind of a recurring theme here on the show lately. Sometimes when desperate times call for desperate measures. I hope there's not an echo here in this room, but here's the setup. Man, I talked to Fluffy. Shoot, Fluffy, it's been 2 years now, a year and a half. Time flies by.
I want to say about a little over 2 years now.
Okay, so it's been a while since we talked, and last time I was up here, you showed me this building. Right now, Fluffy, have you named this place? We're at a compound.
That's basically what it's called. It's called the Fluffy Compound.
Called Fluffy Compound. I call it Fluffy World, based off of Wally World from the Griswold family vacation. And so, man, here I am. And Fluffy brought me to this facility a couple years ago. He had just bought this property. And I tell you what, I rolled up on it just a while ago, and I got the grand tour. We're going to step out in the garage area, the gymnasium area, and talk about a few of his vehicles out there here in a minute. But, man, congratulations on just a outstanding job on a hellacious world-class facility. You told me way back in the day that you kind of did everything on like a WWE type model scale.
Absolutely.
And you went first class, mister. I couldn't be more proud of you. This is state of the art. It's absolutely wonderful here.
Yeah, it's like you have a vision. You see, what do I got to do to make that happen? Yeah, I gave up a lot. I gave up a lot. Trust me. It's one of those, just invest. And I wanted to make this the best place I could for everything that I wanted to do, whether it was merchandising, the man cave, recordings, production, haircuts, you name it.
Here's the thing. We'll get out there in a little bit, but there's a barbershop chair, and there's a mirror. It's like a makeup facility. And Fluffy, every time he goes gets his haircut, you tell a story better. You're the one that excels at telling stories.
Well, hey, man, but you're the one that saw everything right there.
How did it come to be that as you built this magnificent compound, you said, you know what, I got to have a place to get my haircut?
I needed to have a place to get my haircut because it became an issue every time I'd go to the barbershop. My problem is that I still keep it real and go to the old school barbershop in the hood where people come in and it turns into this just, it becomes chaos. And so finally I just told my barber, hey man, if I build you a little spot, will you come and cut my hair? And he goes, as long as you have beer. And I'm like, okay. So it cost me breakfast and a beer every week to have him come out and cut my hair here.
Well, check it out, man. Speaking of, I've always been enamored with hair cutting. That no one would ever know that I would, have.
I thought you were going to say beer. I'm like, duh.
I don't say, I got to think about beer. But back when I used to go get my hair cut in Edna, Texas, the lady used to cut my hair. I was always kind of like, in tune with the process. How they make, chicken salad out of chicken scratch. And so, dude, if you ever want me to come down here and practice on your dome, drink a couple of brewskis, and get you tightened up before you go on tour, if your guy calls in sick, I just want you to know I'm just a phone call away, and I will come down and do my magic.
It'd be worth it just for the photo of that. Yeah, my hair right now is all of, quarter inch, maybe?
About a quarter inch? You kind of getting sloppy.
A little bit. Dude, I remember you having like amazing long goldy locks at one point. I mean,
Dude, I used to walk into the drugstore we used to go to the drugstore to get a fountain Coke. This was way back when I was a kid, so I'm a little bit older than you, Fluffy. But in Edna, Texas, there were 2 drugstores, and we'd go to Williams-Lee Drugstore and get a vanilla Coke. And the ladies would be, old ladies walking through Edna, Texas, town of 5,000 people in South Texas, and they would say, "Oh, your hair is so beautiful. Is that your natural color?" No, I'm 11 and I'm dyeing this stuff. Yeah, it's my natural color. I had some blonde ass hair, and see, look, dude, you're 3.5 feet away from me. You see some eyebrows on me?
Barely.
Right. Okay, so basically being an albino, if you look back at my old wrestling pictures, I used to have a semblance of an eyebrow, but they've kind of faded away just like my hairline. So anyway, back in the day, man, I had the prettiest hair in the world. But the good Lord...
You were one of the Hollywood blondes, man.
But dude, the good Lord just didn't give me the lifetime guarantee on it. And it just migrated south, and I just started cutting it off. Turned out to be a good thing, but it,
yeah,
it is what it is.
At the time,
I can really see why you need your own barber.
Yeah, this thing is like a chia pet that didn't get enough water. It started off really good on the sides.
Do you ever figure, like, hey, man, I really got to get my money's worth out of this barber. Maybe I should take Rogaine to make him come over more often.
The problem with taking products like that is that it messes you up in other ways. It's like you want to have the cool hair so that you can get the lady so that things can happen, but then you take the Rogaine, and the Rogaine makes you,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, that's why. I never messed with the Rogaine because I was never one to. I just didn't feel like it was my kind of thing. So I figured it shouldn't go south.
It worked out, man.
Dude, so you're saying it would lower the sex drive?
My understanding is ED.
Oh no, ED is not a man's best friend.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I like Ed. No, Ed is cool. No.
Yeah, Ed's a good guy. No, that ain't the Ed we talking about. Hey, so we're sitting here in this conference room, and there's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 24 chairs around this table. And you got that many people coming here for a big conference?
Management team, production team. You got to figure publicists, accountants, other comedians. So yeah, the room fills up. Sometimes we have people standing against the wall.
Hey man, and then the room I just came in, was that more like just like a reception room? And you got your pool table,
lounge. Little lounge. It's got the pool table, the couch, the kitchen. So if I want to entertain, like I've had Super Bowl parties here before, and it's really, really cool because, we utilize everything in that kitchen.
Dude, I know you got a badass gym facility out there. So how you doing with the workouts? You look trimmer than last time I saw you. How you doing with the weight?
I'm down probably from the last time you saw me about 20 pounds, which isn't much when you're still over 300. But I got my own gym facility over here. And again, that was the same situation as the barber station. Anytime I try to go to a gym, and yes, I have tried going to a gym, it always turns into a fluffy meet and greet, or they think it's a joke that I'm there. Oh, what are you doing here? Is there cameras? No, I'm here to really work out. And then if I'm using a piece of gym equipment, and there happens to be a piece of gym equipment that's next to it, like a treadmill that's broken, I'm the guy that broke it. I'm always, they give me that look like, oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah, really.
So to avoid that, I just said, you know what? I think I see myself needing a gym. And little by little, I put together a gym with all of my favorite equipment that I like using.
So, man, how many days will you spend in a gymnasium when you're here at the compound?
When I'm here, I'm home 3 to 4 days, so I'll do at least 3.
All right, now what do you do for your workout? Just some circuit training stuff?
Let's see. Mondays will be chest and triceps. Tuesdays will be shoulders, back, biceps, and then Wednesday will be legs.
Now, you one of those cats who just hires a trainer, come here and crack a whip. Come on, Fluffy. Come on, Fluffy. One more rep, Fluffy.
I used to, man, but she was brutal.
You're fired. You pushed me too hard.
I like taking my time. I mean, I know that you can't just take a 2 hours to work out. You gotta, keep up the pace. But yeah, man, she was a little rough.
Hey, let me ask you a question. As far as your fitness routine, and also trying to take care of yourself, because you're down 20 pounds, but your physicality works for you with what you do in comedy. No,
it works for me. But you know what? If I lost another 100 pounds, it would still work. I don't always have to be the fluffy guy. I feel like I have enough material and just things in general to talk about that I don't need the big guy presence in order to pull it off.
Yeah, because I was just sitting there thinking, if I grew my hair hair back, could I still be stone cold? But I was like, man, if Fluffy gets too buffy, you might kill your gimmick off. You'd be cutting bodybuilder jokes.
You just said it right there. I'd be Buffy. From Fluffy to Buffy. That's the New York bestseller book in about 5 years.
Dude, I'm telling you what, I'm here to solve problems and change lives. Hey, Fluffy, random question, serious. You need me to be a life coach for you?
You know what?
I'm offering my services. I don't offer my services. Too many people, Fluff, work with me here.
You know, one of the things you told me a while back, and I give you credit, and not joking around, really like, okay, you told me one day, you said, you know what? You can't out-train a shitty diet. And I said, you know what? I got to find a way to get that written up on the wall. I remember you told me that just stuck with me. I'm like, man, you know, you're absolutely right. I could lift them weights all day long, man, but if I can't lift that Big Mac off my chest, it doesn't matter.
Hey, let's talk about the road for a second. You've been busy looking on my computer. You got some dates coming up. Did you just come off the road? Where are you at? What are you doing right now, man, with respect to touring?
Respect to touring, on the road 46 weeks out of the year. I come home every week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Got to visit the family, check the mail, and then back out on the road again. So usually 4 days gone and then 3 days home.
Dang, man, last time I saw you, were you married or did you get married? You just got your girl?
No, I have my girl, but, you know, not married.
Okay.
Not married.
But same girl?
Same girl.
No, I mean that with respect.
Yeah,
yeah. I didn't know what the situation was.
But if it wasn't the same girl, you'd understand too.
Man, gotta eat.
The road got a road.
Dude, you coming up in, you're gonna do some time in Oklahoma. You're going to go to Washington, Oregon, Alberta, Minnesota.
Oh, you name it. I'm like that. What's that? The song from Johnny Cash. I'm an everywhere man.
I'm an everywhere man. Bethlehem, PA, coming up. Atlantic City, New Jersey. Mashantucket, Connecticut. I ain't never heard of Mashantucket. Where's that at? Oh, you're going to tell me it's in Connecticut.
Yeah, right? No. It's down the street from Vince's house.
Vince, if you listen to this podcast, which I highly doubt you are, you got to go see Fluffy Guy. Hey, dude, you're coming up to Hermosa Beach, California, the Comedy and Magic Club on August 21st. I just got finished seeing your boy Bill Burr over there.
Yeah, he's a huge wrestling fan. Bill Burr, man, he will talk your ear off about wrestling.
Well, here's the thing. He was at my house the other day, and, you know, I didn't know... because I've been a Bill Burr fan for a long time, never met the guy, and I saw his profile picture, had Ric Flair.
Him and Ric Flair.
So I said, well, dude's got to be a wrestling fan, so I sent him a direct message, and we hooked it up. So I'm thinking, okay, when Bill Burr shows up, because I've seen him so many times on YouTube, this is jokes can be falling out of the sky. And when you talk to him, as you know the guy very well, he's a serious dude, regular cat. Now, he obviously can chop it up when he wants to, but I was just thinking, man, this guy's probably going to go off on the microphone, and, you know, I give him a couple setups. But
you found yourself talking a little bit more than him.
Yeah, he was just Bill Burr. I mean that with respect, because, dude, he went over to the Comedy Magic Club the other night, and it was a whole different animal. He unleashed a can of whoop-ass on that crowd. Yeah, we just popped a top on a Diet Sunkist. I'm drinking a Diet Coke. That's right. Cheers, Fluffy. Here you go. Swig of Diet Coke.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd say that on this podcast, but I did. Dude, he got out there on that stage and just ripped the roof off that place. I was laughing my fool head off so damn hard, Fluffy, I thought it was going to explode.
Bill Burr is one of the most underrated comics out there. He's so funny. His last two specials, they killed me. You can catch them on Netflix, by the way.
Man, I was talking with him a little bit about coming up with new material, but I didn't get real far into it. Truth of the matter, when I talked to Bill, our oldest lab, we just put her down, and man, I was doing my best to have a conversation with the dude, but I was still not the greatest place in the world.
Man, yeah.
So you know, hell, when I walked up, I was crying a while ago to Fluffy's. I'm kidding. So I wanted to ask him about material, and so since I didn't get enough info out of him, I'd like to ask you, you know, with you being on the road as long as you've been now, and last time you were at my house, and we was drinking tequila and drinking beer and having a good time, and you had a designated driver. You've gotten off a lot of that material. Obviously, you'll re-hit some of it maybe if you want to, but what is the process for a guy like you? You have these endless stories, but when we're looking at this desk with all these chairs, do people help contribute material to your show? Is that all on you?
It is all 100% on me. It is hard for somebody to write for me because these are all stories. They're not set up punch. They're not jokes. Like if I was going to come out and do a monologue talking about whatever's happening in the world of politics, then I would need help with stuff like that because I don't know how to write a monologue like that. I just know how to tell stories. So I talk about whatever is inspiring me or frustrating me the most at that time. So right now I'm talking a lot about my son and how he graduated from high school, but he still doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. And so it's that whole like, okay, people can relate to that. You know, you want to get your kids going, you want them to do something, but they still don't have a clue. And so I'm dealing with that, and I'm dealing with his mom giving me a hard time because she thinks I'm bullying him right now. And I'm like, I'm not bullying him. I'm preparing him for life. And so it's one of those, it's like, I'll go out there and I'll tell these stories and people connect with it.
So you've already then, if he just graduated from high school, I would imagine that at the age when he knew more than you did was about the 12 to 15-year mark?
That was probably his best time, yeah. I think reality has set in, and the only reason he goes out of the house is because of Pokemon Go. So,
Dude, explain the Pokemon Go thing to me, because just in San Diego a couple weeks ago, I was reading my computer page. A couple cats fell off a bluff in San Diego. One fell 50 feet, the other fell 80 feet. And then another dude walked into a car. First of all, tell me exactly what Pokemon Go is, and WTF is it with this game and people? I'm just not a video game guy, but since you're of the younger generation, break us down I can understand.
I'm barely able to understand it. You got your phone. You basically take the video game from the house, and now you got it with you on your hand, and you go out there. Imagine a GPS with an actual video game on that GPS. So you're really looking at the road. You know, it really is your surroundings. It's not just some fake fantasy world. That's what it does, is it makes your surroundings part of the game. And so that's why some people, they get so involved with it, and they just figure, you know what, as long as I stay on the magical road that's on my palm, I'm going to be okay. But sometimes, there might be a cliff. Sometimes there might be a car. Sometimes there might be, there's people that have been robbed because they weren't looking up and they're just walking around aimlessly looking for these Pokemon that are hiding. Come to find out they didn't find Pokemon. They found Cracky Man. They found Dopey Man. They found all these other guys.
Dude, I was reading about a couple of guys on the streets of Los Angeles just the other day, and they were not in the greatest neighborhood in the world. It was the neighborhood they're from. They were playing Pokemon Go, and they got jumped by a dude with a gun.
Yeah.
And luckily, one of the cats, and I always tell everybody, you always got to have a pocket knife. And one kid had a pocket knife, and he fended the guy off. He charged him with a damn pocket knife. Now, I'm not advocating violence. I hope if you have a pocket knife, you never have to use it to defend yourself. But at least this dumb SOB who was dumb enough to be playing a video game in the middle of nowhere at 2 a.m. had a pocket knife to be able to defend himself. And he got busted up a little bit, but he didn't get shot and killed.
Yeah.
Dude, it's stuff like that, Fluffy.
But he should have been out there at 2 o'clock in the morning playing a stupid Pokemon game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, and here's the thing.
But this is the best time to get them.
Dude, but here's the thing.
They're sleeping, man.
Dude, I walk the streets, or I'm driving in my car in Los Angeles, California, Marina Del Rey, whatever. We're here in the LBC, but it's all the same. You see a cat on a corner, and they're waiting for the stoplight to change, do the white pedestrian sign. When the white light for the pedestrian walk, you just walk. Mm-hmm. Well, these people got their head on their phone. Whether they're playing Pokemon Go or they're just sending text messages, they won't even look both ways. They just, since the signal said walk, it's okay for me to walk. Not wondering about that dude taking that right-hand turn who didn't see him because he's texting himself. So you got your head up your ass. My thing's Fluffy, when I change, my thing, Fluffy, is when I'm walking down the street, if I'm crossing a street, and if I'm in L.A., or dude, if I'm at my ranch in the middle of nowhere, I got my head on a swivel because I'm going to make sure there's going to be a lot of things that happen to Steve Austin in his life, but getting smoked by a car because I had my head up my ass, looking at my iPhone instead of looking for traffic, ain't going to be one of them. What is it with these damn video games and texting? Because here's one more thing for you, Fluff, and work off this for me. You can go to a restaurant, a man and his girl, or his wife, whatever, sitting across the table, the sushi place I go to, they're both on their phones. They ain't say a damn word to each other. Or if you watch someone when they're riding down the road and watch a shotgun passenger, the person in the passenger seat, for those people that don't know about the shotgun seat inside a car, everybody's on their damn phone. Is it just too much technology? Am I too old? Help me out. Help me. Would you be my life coach for a couple of minutes and just talk me down off this ledge? I've stood up on the table. I'm about to jump head first on this floor unless Fluffy talks me down.
I gotta try to talk you down, Steve. I just feel that, you know what? Age is definitely starting to catch up because it's one of those where I'm getting frustrated. It's the same thing with my kid. You mentioned crossing the street. He's always either texting or he's got his earphones on, and he'd rather follow whoever's walking. And I go, what if they get hit by a car? I go, that means you're going to get hit by a car too because you decided to follow them. And the same thing goes with the cell phones. It's like he's always on the phone. We're in the house, he's on the phone. We're in the car, he's on the phone. I'm trying to talk to him, he's on the phone. And so it's like, okay, do I make him put the phone down and then have him resent me because he can't get to his crack? Because that's what happens. I try to talk to him, he doesn't want to have a regular conversation. I'm better off texting him at this point.
And that's the way it is with a lot of people. Texting is the new drunk driving.
Or talking to them about whatever it is that they're trying to get into. So, for example, if he's playing Pokemon Go, the only reason why I want to get into Pokemon Go is so I could have a conversation with my son. Don't get me wrong. We're not talking about the birds and bees. We're talking about him trying to find Snorlax, which is one of the characters. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, my friend found him. Really? Where'd you find him? So then we have this conversation about where he found him. But at least we're talking versus him just staring at me and me trying to tell him about life and why he hasn't decided to find a job.
Is there any other pet peeves that you have that are going on right now with respect to what's going on in the world? Is it just me that's just kind of walking on a razor's edge like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with everybody?
You know what? It's so tense out there right now. I mean, every city I've gone to for the last month now has been a city that's had a lot of issues. I mean, I was in Orlando a couple weeks ago, and they still haven't recovered from that. But think about how much, how much chaos has happened since then. You know, you figure it used to be a time where once every couple of years you'd hear about some major, just like, oh man, I can't believe that happened. And now it's like it's happening every week. And it's one of those where, even I'm getting paranoid. I go to a club or go to a theater, and now I have to say, can we add metal detectors? Can we do this and that? Just so that I can have the peace of mind because, who knows? Maybe somebody wants to make a name for themselves, or maybe somebody just doesn't want people happy that day. So, oh, yeah, the best way to do that is go out there and take out the fluffy guy. I don't have to have a good aim. I just got to point forward, right? He's only down 20 pounds. I can get him.
Hey,
it's getting harder though. The traveling is getting harder. Airport security is getting harder. Just going places in general. There's so much tension out there right now, and it almost makes me want to stay home.
Hey man, you ain't got to tell me. I prefer to stay home, or that'd just go to the ranch. Too many headaches and hassles with traveling these days. All right, I'm sitting here with Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias. We're hanging at his compound in Long Beach, and he's on the road doing a lot of stand-up dates. So we're going to talk about that, getting ready to get on stage, how you wind down after a gig. And I know you have a couple of stories about shows that didn't go the way you wanted them to. But first, I know you've been here, Fluffy, because we talked about it a time or two in the past. You've had to say sorry to your girl on more than one occasion, and I've had to do the same thing with my illustrious wife, because as everyone listening to this podcast has heard me say many times, guys are dumb. And if you screwed something up lately and your girl ain't too happy with you, I'm going to smarten you up right now. Send her flowers from thebooks.com. Books flowers are grown at eco-friendly farms on the side of a volcano. Yeah, seriously, a volcano. And the Books flowers are gorgeous. The blooms are larger, the colors are more vibrant. So say you're sorry for whatever the screw-up with hand-delivered flowers from thebooks.com. It won't break your bank either. Books prices start at just $40, and delivery is free when you register with thebooks.com. And I've got a winner for the Books flowers. You guys have been emailing me your screw-up stories, and here's the winning story. It's from Scott. Hey, Steve, I hit Vegas last weekend with my boys to celebrate being a new dad. My wife said it was okay since it was probably my last solo weekend for a while. I should have known better. Yes doesn't always mean yes, especially when your 3-month-old spends the whole weekend sick. I checked in every day but was not smart enough or sober enough to realize that I should have gone home the first time, she told me. I've been a huge fan. Can you help a brother out of the doghouse? You know what, Scott? I can, and I will. You got the free flowers from the Books, and hopefully that'll get you back in your wife's good graces. The rest of you can still take advantage of this special offer. You can get 20% off the bouquet of your choice. Just go to Books.com and enter the promo code Steve. That's BOUQS.com and use the promo code Steve. Hey, you just said you was on the road 46 days out of the year. 46 weeks out of 52.
Yeah.
Dude, how many days does that turn into performing?
I want to say about a little over, or like right around 200. Right around 200.
And
sometimes we have multiple shows.
Right.
In a day. You have two shows
So
nights.
when you do one of your shows, you got a guy or two open for you?
I have 3 openers.
3 openers.
4 openers.
Now, how do you go about selecting? How do you go about selecting these guys or gals?
I've known these comics forever. My MC is a guy named Martin Moreno. He's been my MC for as long as I can remember. I think we've known each other 19 years. This is my 20th year now as a comic. Another guy named Rick Gutierrez from San Antonio, Texas, and another guy named Alfred Robles here from the LA area.
So all of a sudden, Fluffy's going to go on tour. Everybody would just fly in, and would we all get on a bus at that point, or is it always flying, or what?
I like traveling in groups, so we'll all meet. We'll either meet here at the compound and then head over to the airport, or we'll meet at the airport and then from there fly out and then meet up with the tour bus. We get in the tour bus and then we just go. Do the show, get on the bus, go to the next town, and repeat.
Dude, how's life on the road for you? I mean, at this stage of the game, where you're at, as high profile as you are, as successful as you've been, you've got a real head of momentum going for you. Back in our days, I mean, in the wrestling world, man, it was party central. How old are you now?
I just turned 40 last week.
I was thinking 38. So
Thank
you're
you.
right in that pocket. What is life on the road now for Fluffy, the mature Fluffy? Because I remember a couple of years talking to you. You were sending me some texts. You were sending me some text messages trying to get me back in the ring. I want to say you was drinking tequila. This was the best sales pitch I'd heard in years.
Oh,
I don't
man,
know what, you remember that?
I was so lit. I got really, really drunk. I forget what I was drinking, but I was in Florida. I remember that much. And I says, you know what? I know how we can kill the next WrestleMania. And I started texting you, and I started saying, you know what? You need to go on TV and challenge CM Punk to come back. The two of you can have WrestleMania. And I mean, I bet you I could find that text. And I said, you know what? I bet you anything that could kill it. You both make a bunch of money. I swear I was Fluffy McMahon. I was trying to sell it.
Dude,
and then the next day I'm like, I can't believe. What's sad is that all my friends in the car are like, that's awesome. You should tell him. That would make a killing. That would be awesome. And so of course peer pressure and tequila said, yeah, let me send you those text messages.
I was blowing you off at first. I said, man, it's a bad idea, Fluffy. Now I'm done. Hell, I'd have a couple beers myself. And about midway through it, I thought it was a pretty damn good idea. And then I woke up the next morning and said, Fluffy's off his rocker last night. Because if I'd had a couple shots of tequila like that time you rolled into my house that 5th, I might have called Vince up and said, hey, I got a good idea for WrestleMania 33, courtesy of Fluffy.
Man. Yeah, so to answer your question, I've matured slightly. As the drinking, I'm a lush. That's my biggest problem. Is at the end of the week, I just want to unwind. And that's why you got that text. I think it was a Sunday. It was the end of the week. And
what is unwinding for you these days? I mean, you like tequila? Are you drinking beer? What do you?
I've never been a beer guy, and I've never been, substances that were, whatever. That was never my thing. But drinking definitely was. It used to be mild. We just, I'll have one or two. My friend was like, "Hey, you have some wine." I go, "I don't think so. I can't do it." But then, I got into tequila, and it was one of those where either it was going to be cool or it was going to be like, all right, help me up off the ground. There's been a few nights where, I didn't want to be in that position, but I have partied a little too hard sometimes.
Now, do you like to just do tequila shots, or are you a margarita guy? Because as much as I love my tequila, especially if you get a good smooth sip of tequila, that's all fine and dandy, or something on the rocks with some lime juice squeezed on it. But I've got a recipe. It's called the Broken Skull Ranch Margarita, and it's pretty damn famous. At least it is over at the Broken Skull Ranch with my buddy Ted. We've melted some metal cups making those damn things. You talk about stout, mister. One of these days, if we're out on the road or we meet somewhere, if you come down the ranch, whatever, I'll make you one. It'll knock your socks off. Are you a margarita guy, or are you just shooting them?
I usually just shoot, but I would definitely entertain the idea of having one of your margaritas.
But that's a smart call because you avoid all the sugar of all that. Because the mix is where you get the sugar from. The tequila in and of itself is not like a calorie bomb. Because, dude, I'm very in tune with the calories I'm taking in while trying to get said buzz. Because I know if I get enough buzz, there's going to be a munchy session after said buzz. All right, I'm hanging from a light right now. Talk me down, Fluffy.
Get off the light, Steve.
Hey, tell me about this. I watched Bill Burr rock the house for an hour and 15 minutes. It might have went a little bit longer than that. And Jason Lawhead opened for him. He did a great job for 30 minutes. And then Bill went up there and just fucking crushed it. And when I went back and talked to him, Kristen and myself went back there and we were just shooting a breeze with him. And he was kind of just talking about his set. And, we had laughed so hard, really, our sides hurt. And we were telling him some of the stuff that we liked in particular. But he was already almost like to, ground zero again. Now, for me,
he was back down from being on stage.
Yeah. But for me, my question to you, because I wanted to give you that, and me coming out of the ring, dude, I was on fire, and that fire continued into my drinking sessions. So how high are you?
And that's exactly thank you. You get off that stage, the level of adrenaline, you got all these people and they're chanting, they're excited, they're clapping, they're roaring. They want you to come back, and you're like, oh, it's such a rush. And then you get off, and now you're sitting in a dressing room by yourself, and you're looking at the walls, and it's quiet. And you're like, man, this really sucks. I was just like, it was on such a high level, and now it's silence. And sometimes you need to feel that you need noise in there. And you crack a bottle and you have a drink, you get that little fuzzy feeling. You're like, okay, all right, it's a little bit of where I was, but it's not where I was.
Right.
And then sometimes you want to chase that little dragon, man, and.
But for me, it's just, you just got to come down, and man, to go from an extreme high, and then you get to return, kind of start coming down, but it's like you just want to get into a different space, so therein lift the spirits with a little buzz.
So it's one of those where you want to try to maintain as much of it as you can, but sometimes you can't. And not to say that every night I drink, but sometimes you just you're coming down, and your head does have to change a little bit, because if not, you're just gonna still be all amped up. And man, yeah, did you see that? It was cool. And then it does. So I've seen Bill Burr perform a few times, and then seen him after the show. And there's been some times where he's still all, jacked up from the stage, and he's still excited and pumped up. And then there's other times where, like the way you saw him, where he's a lot more relaxed, and now he's coming down. He's just trying to, get back to where he was before he went up on stage.
So take me back to when you started, because obviously, dude, were you the high school? Were you the class clown, or?
I used to open for the clown.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Fluffy crushes it.
No, I was actually very, very quiet. I was very, very quiet all through school.
Were you a straight A student? What kind of student?
No. I was smart enough to know what I needed to do in order to graduate, and so I did just enough so that I could just have free time for myself. And it was one of those. My mom says, "I know you're not da mijo. You're not, because you're pulling this off." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, Ma." I go, "You don't want A's?" I go, "I could care less." I go, "Do you want A's?" She goes, "I just want a diploma." I go, "Okay, all right, you just tell me what you wanted." She wants a diploma, and I just want to get by.
Right.
And so I got her the diploma, and after that, she didn't bug me about anything.
So then what was the next step for you?
So in high school, I played a little bit of sports. I was in football, I was in wrestling. And I got kicked off the football team because the coach wanted me to give my shoulder pads to one of the other guys, because he messed up his pads. And he goes, "Well, go get them from Iglesias." And then the guy comes to me and he goes, "Hey, man, coach said to give me your pads." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He said to give you, "Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you these pads when you can freaking beat me for them. So come on, let's go heads up right now." And the coach was like, "You can't challenge him. I just told you to give." I go, these are my pads. I sweat in these pads. I've had these pads all year, and now you just want me to hand them over. I go, if he's better than me, then have him take them from me. Next thing you know, I found myself off the team, and I wound up joining the speech team, which turned out to be the greatest thing ever. Because I was able to take my big mouth at the time and then run it all I wanted in speech class. And I never once wrote anything down. All my points that I got in speech was because the teacher said, "Will someone get up in front of the class for extra credit?" And all my extra credit, I could have passed that class 4 times. I was the only class I ever got an A in, was speech.
That's awesome. What happened on the football field? Did the coaches say, "Hey, Gabe, take the pads off and give them to the kid"?
Well, once I got the boot right there. "Well, you're out of here. You're done."
Right.
And I'm, "Okay, well, here you go then."
Jesus Christ.
And I was okay with that.
So you excelled in speech.
Speech was just my thing, and it's funny because, like I said, and you've seen me. I mean, I'm not. I'm talkative, but I'm not like, "Oh my God, this guy won't shut up." It's, I just try to carry regular conversations. But when I get up on stage, man, it's on. You hand me that mic, the lights come on, and it's a show. And that's what would happen in class.
But you said that as far as your act goes, you just draw from a lot of stories that you've either, I guess, lived through, or you just make up a lot of stories, or well, I guess now because you're experiencing so much stuff with your son, it just organically comes to you. I mean, because it's how do you manufacture this stuff?
In the beginning, all my material was impressions. I was just doing impressions of people, characters, cartoons. My show was super dirty. All I was doing was impressions of cartoons having sex. That was it back in the day. Believe me, that killed in high school. But, over time, it's like one of those things where little by little, I started incorporating personal life into my sets, and then I would just take the voices and the sound effects and incorporate that into the storytelling. So it was storytelling that was very animated storytelling, and that's what I do now.
Man, when did you find? I mean, I guess you just. As you came up, all of a sudden you just discovered that you had this ability to make so many different pitches and so many impressions naturally. But when I watch you, I mean, you're extremely funny. But to me, it seems like with the ability that you have with those impressions, because everybody's a sucker for impressions. I mean, everybody is, literally, I am, but also of your funny stuff that's just flat out, laugh out loud funny. But was there a time, going back to Bill Burr, man, because a lot of times he'd have to follow a guy that would end with just a real blue or just a dirty joke, and like to follow that.
It sets the tone, and there's certain comics that we don't like following if that's not your thing. If you're a really dirty act, you got no problem following a really dirty act because you're just riding that wave of okay, this has been the tone. But if you're like a clean comic who doesn't cuss, and then you got to try to follow a dirty comic, it's a little challenging. You really got to bring it. Now, if you're, let's say, a comic who just does monologue, you don't really do voices and characters, you just joke, and you got to follow, let's say, a guitar act. Somebody who just went up there and was singing songs, and all he does is take old songs and make them funny. He kind of puts that little twist on it, kind of a Weird Al style. Then that's kind of hard to follow as well because people just heard a musical act, and now you got to try to be funny with just words. So there's certain things that's hard to follow. But
have you ever been out there? Because I've done this. I wouldn't say a million times, but a lot of times. I mean, you go out there in front of a crowd in a wrestling business, and man, you just stink the joint out. You just can't get them off their feet. You can't get them engaged in the audience, and you're working with a quality guy, and you're just not buying. So, early on, I'm like, I don't think Bill Burr has bombed in a long time, but coming up, he did. He certainly did. Were there times when you went to a crowd, and they're coming to see Fluffy because you've been headlining for how long, but has there been a time where when you go back to that bus, you're like, that was pretty good, but it wasn't as good as I can do, or flat out bomb?
You know what? Flat out bomb, there's been maybe 3, but I'm always questioning my show. I'm always like, what? I could have given him a little bit more. I should have stayed on a little bit longer. I should have done this one joke. I should have done this one callback. I should have interacted a little bit better. So I'm never satisfied 100% with my act. It's never like, yeah, crushed it, killed it. There was nothing left. There's always that little doubt of like, I could have done a little bit better. So I'm never fully happy. But there's been a couple of shows where it was just like, oh, like I was just thinking right now, one show that I did, I used to do a lot of corporate gigs. Now, corporate gigs, very different than a comedy club gig, because comedy club gig, it's like the people are there for stand-up. They already have an idea of stand-up. They've seen it on TV. They understand it. That's what they paid for. Corporate gig, it could be anything from somebody's graduation, a wedding. It could be some type of work function, Christmas party. In my case, I'll tell you, I had two really, really bad ones. One of them actually happened at a comedy club. I was doing a show for a group that's like PETA, but it's strictly dogs and cats. A comedian by the name of Carol Leifer, I believe it's her organization, she put this thing together. And it was to raise money. It was at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. And she calls me up and she's like, would you donate some of your time? I know you're a pet owner and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, absolutely. So the comics on the show, it's Jay Leno, comedian named Tom Papa, and myself. So Jay Leno has to go first because he's got to go tape The Tonight Show. This was back then. And so he goes up there and he's killing it for about 10 minutes, and then he starts telling a story about how he hates his wife's cats. And he's like, oh, my wife's cats are so stupid, and da-da-da-da-da. And so you could feel the crowd. They went from ha-ha, ha-ha, ha-ha. And right at the end, you could already feel them, like the tension, that So Jay Leno says, I'd like to donate $10,000 to your organization so you guys can continue to save these dogs and cats. And the whole crowd jumped up because that was like half of the money they were trying to raise, and he just did it in one hit. And so everybody jumps up. Jay Leno, we love you. And thank you, good night. And he walks off, and Carol Leifer comes up. She's like, keep it going for Jay Leno. He's going to go tape The Tonight Show. We love you, Jay. So then Tom Papa comes up there, comedian Tom Papa, and the first thing he says is, keep it going for Jay Leno, ladies and gentlemen, paying $10,000 to shit on cats. And they just loved him after that.
Really?
Because he called out Jay, and then he just started doing his act, no problem. Now it's my turn. I go up there and I'm killing it for about 5 minutes, okay? And then I says, you know what? I should incorporate some animal humor because this is an animal function. So I started talking about my dogs. And I says, yeah, I have 3 Chihuahuas at home. And everybody's like, aw. So and I says, yeah, one of my dogs, his name is Bruno. And I says, Bruno is in love with me. And some lady in the crowd, your dog loves you. I go, no, he's in love with me. I said, at night when I'm sleeping on my side, Bruno will come up to me, lift his leg, and he'll mark my back. I said, and then he'll come over to the other side and cuddle with me. I go, basically, I'm my dog's bitch. And so the crowd starts laughing, and I says, one night, I caught him in the middle of marking my back. And I says, and I kicked his ass off the bed. And some lady in the back of the room, she goes, he kicks dogs. And I thought she was messing with me. And so I started playing it like, yeah, that's right. I kick dogs. I kicked him off the bed. And the lady goes, I can't believe he really kicks dogs. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So now she starts getting her table to start yelling dog kicker at me from the back of the room. And I'm like, will you let me explain? This was not a comedy crowd. This was very much an organization, and they did not have a sense of humor. So the lady literally thought I kicked my dog. So they started chanting dog kicker from the back of the comedy club. It gets to the point where the comedian Carol Leifer has to come up on stage, take the mic. She goes, go, go, go. It was like the end of a bad boxing match where the referee's just waving people off. And so I got to get out. I run outside the door. The table starts following me out the door, continuing to yell dog kicker at me. Even the valet guy's like, ¿Te gusta patear los perros? And I'm like, dude, I don't kick freaking dogs, all right? So I get my keys and I take off. It doesn't end there. They start sending me messages on Facebook calling me dog kicker. And this went on for about a week. And for me, I was so devastated because there was people in the crowd that were industry. I recognized people from Channel 2, Channel 9, and Channel 7 in the crowd. And I'm like, oh my God, I got called a dog kicker in front of all these people. I hope they don't really think I'm a dog kicker. And so later on, I spoke to Carol Leifer, and she goes, that lady, she riles things up all the time. Don't worry, people don't really think you kick dogs. I think we know it was a joke. And yeah, so that messed me up. And it happened on my anniversary, which totally, it was a horrible one. That was one show. And sorry, that was long. I got to tell you the second one. I get a phone call to do a show in Florida for an organization. The only thing I know about the organization is it's named after a girl. I didn't ask any questions because I saw the amount of money I was going to get paid for it. And I says that when people offer you that kind of money, you don't ask questions. You just say thank you for this opportunity. They were going to give me 4 nights in Orlando at one of the nicest hotels by the amusement parks and a car rental. I thought this was really cool. So I get there early because I want to see what this thing is about. I'm backstage and I see the show sheet, how it's going to go for that night. And it says 8 p.m. band. I said, okay, 8 p.m. band. And then it says 8:30 guest speaker. I said, okay, 9 p.m. comedian. This is an easy show. There's a band, there's a guest speaker, and me. I can follow a guest speaker, no problem. And they got to follow the band. So the band goes up, they do their thing, big applause, guest speaker goes up. This is when I find out what the organization is. Come to find out, it's an organization for battered women who've survived domestic violence in their homes. And this woman goes on to tell this horrific story for half an hour of how she survived her husband's onslaught. And then she pulls out a clicker and a freaking screen comes down and she starts showing the crowd images of what this dude did to her for 30 minutes. And at the end she says, and if I could survive and she could survive and she could survive, we could all survive. And then she walks off crying. And the buyer who hired me to be there says, you cannot address what you just saw, you don't make fun of what you just saw, and you do not cuss. Go. And now the MC goes up there, and he doesn't introduce me to the crowd as a comedian. I wasn't Fluffy at the time. This was still years ago. He had to tell people he's a comedian. He just goes, Gabriel Iglesias. And I walk out there, and they're applauding for me like I'm another guest speaker. Like, oh, this chubby guy must have survived abuse as well. And so I go up there, and I'm dying. I'm eating it. I'm eating it so bad because this crowd doesn't want comedy. They just got the life sucked out of them by this lady.
I just saw a heart-wrenching story.
Oh, man. And I cannot address it. Finally, 20 minutes in, the crowd is talking, no one's paying attention to me, and I snapped, and I says, I yelled at the top of my lungs, this is bullshit, and the whole crowd looked at me, and I says, listen, guys, I'm so sorry for what you just heard. I go, I know you didn't come here for comedy. I says, I think that the reason why I was brought here tonight is because they saw the story, the powerful emotional story that you guys just heard, and they probably figured you need some lightening up. And I says, I agree, this is not a place for comedy. I'm so sorry, I'm failing you guys. I said, I would like to donate $10,000 to your organization so that you guys can, and it freaking worked. They all jumped up and they all started cheering. I had to give the check back to the lady, and I haven't done a corporate show since.
God dang. I got to go back to the dog kicker story.
Oh man, really?
Dog kicker 316 says Fluffy just kicked his dog's ass. Hey, what about Hey, dude, I still ain't forgot when you dropped a bomb on my damn toilet when you came down to give me
man.
last time, man.
That was an accident. I wasn't trying to do that.
316 says I just blew up your bathroom. Dude, you got some nerve.
It was unintentional. For everybody listening, let me just say right now, you got to figure we were drinking a lot, and I had to go number one, and that's really the case. I really had to go, and I asked Steve. I says, "Hey, can I use your restroom?" And the first thing you say is, "Number one or number two?" I go, "Just number one." Okay, you can use this one right here. Okay, cool. And so I'm in there, and nature had a different plan right around the 15-second mark, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make it out of here without freaking dropping deuces. And so I tried to take the quickest dump of my life, and Steve is standing outside the door, and you're just like, "Hey, Fluffy, you're taking a dump in there." Oh my God! I felt terrible. I was buzzed though, so it was kind of funny.
Dude, you didn't drop a deuce. You dumped a quattro. Hey, you spoke a little bit of Spanish a while ago. Do you speak fluent Spanish?
I do now, but it took a lot of practice, and it took me dating women that only spoke Spanish. Also meeting parents and doing a lot of Spanish interviews. So when I started doing, guest roles on movies and stuff like that, they send you out to go do those press junkets. And they see the face, and they're like, "Well, can you do Telemundo, Univision?" I'm like, "I'd rather not." And they're like, "Well, no one else is available," and they would give you prime position if you did them. And so I got myself a coach, and I started learning how to do interviews in Spanish. And I figured as long as I knew how to talk about myself, and it was repetition, because you just go into different channels and different radio stations, and you're saying the same thing multiple times. So eventually you get good at it, and then you learn how to steer their question into how you want to answer it. So no matter what they'd ask me, I'd find a way to answer it the way I've been answering everything else.
Well, it was interesting because I was a big Selena fan way back in the day, and when Jennifer Lopez reprised that, the role in Selena, she knocked it out of the park. But her big thing when she went over to Mexico, they were worried that her accent or she wasn't authentic.
Authentic
Mexican,
enough,
or whatever. They were concerned.
The word is pocho. Pocho means you're of Latin descent, but you're very Americanized.
Right.
And so, so of course, when one of us goes, like, let's say if I was to go back to Mexico, they'd look at me and that pocho, you grew up American.
But she was so charismatic, and they just loved her so much. She got over big. The question I was going to ask, with you speaking Spanish, do you tour over there in Mexico?
Oh, no. I don't have that Selena quality.
You damn sure ain't as pretty as she was.
Hey, man, I see you looking at me.
Hey, well, I've had one Diet Coke.
One Diet Coke to the head.
Cut him off.
Comedy's very different in Spanish than it is in English. In Spanish, it's one long story with a huge punchline at the end. And I can't do that, man. I have to have a laugh every 15 to 20 seconds. Otherwise, I'm bombing. So by the way that they perform over there, I could not do that.
So, dude, work with me on that, because that's like running a high spot, in a match. You're doing something to elicit a response from the crowd. So you're gauging that crowd. You're feeling them the whole time. And if you ain't popping them, you think you're losing them.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on right there.
But you always have that big payoff at the end, because that's a payoff.
That is the payoff. But it's one of those, though, you want to make sure that they're constantly with you. So them, even if it's chuckles, at least they're still in that same, okay, they're right there with me. They're right there with me. But when you hear silence, you're like, you don't know. Are they still with you? Are they really focused? Or have they just tuned out and now they're freaking playing Pokemon Go?
Right.
So. But performing in Spanish is it's very challenging, and then I have to translate in my head and then say it, and it's challenging. It really is.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of the stuff doesn't
you're
translate.
multitasking right then. Are there any famous stand-up comedians that just work Mexico?
There's a couple. Eugenio, I want to say his name is Eugenio Valdez, I think is his name, Valdez. He did a movie called Instructions Not Included. There was about a father and his little girl, and the little girl was sick, and it was the film was actually in English and Spanish. It was in both languages. But he's a big comic in Mexico.
So they got comedians over there, right?
Oh yeah, a ton of them.
I mean, everybody loves to laugh.
Yeah, everybody loves to laugh in every language.
And nobody makes them laugh like my guest, Fluffy, a.k.a. Gabriel Iglesias, who was nice enough to have me down at his compound in Long Beach. When I rolled up to his compound, he's got a big car collection, all these VW buses and bugs. We're going to talk about that and see if maybe he'll sell me one for a very generous offer. Same offer I made Bill Goldberg a couple of weeks ago on a few of his vehicles. Maybe I'll have better luck with Fluffy. We'll see how he is at negotiating after we talk about something that Fluffy swears by too, DDP yoga. Fluffy does DDP yoga and it got him on a path to healthier living. And y'all know it literally saved Jake the Snake's life. And you can see that incredible story when you check out the Resurrection of Jake the Snake documentary that Diamond Dallas Page and his crew put together. And this ain't just a wrestling documentary. It's Jake's story. It's how he battled back from the brink to reclaim his life, his family, and his career. It'll take you on an emotional roller coaster, which is probably why it's the 6th highest rated documentary of all time on Netflix. So get on Netflix and check it out. And be sure to rate it after you watch it. And a collector's edition of The Resurrection of Jake the Snake is also out on DVD and Blu-ray. And you get that and your own copy of the DDP Yoga program, all for 20% off if you go to ddpyoga.com/Austin now. DDP is giving you guys a once-in-a-lifetime deal right now. You heard me right. You'll get 20% off anything you buy at ddpyoga.com/Austin. Don't miss your chance to try DDP's life-changing DDP Yoga program. This is more than just a workout. This is a way to live a healthier life. DDP gives you everything you need, and all you got to do is commit. So get the Resurrection of Jake the Snake documentary, get yourself on a DDP Yoga program, and do all that for 20% off by going to ddpyoga.com/Austin. That's ddpyoga.com/Austin and get 20% off anything you buy for a limited time. All right, people, I got a big favor to ask you that's going to take up about 10 minutes of your time. Can you please go to podcastingsurvey.com and complete a short online survey? And the first 500 people who complete the survey will get a $25 gift certificate to restaurant.com with a chance to win an additional $250 for filling out the entire survey. So do the Steve Austin Show and Podcast One a big-ass favor and take the survey at podcastingsurvey.com. That's podcastingsurvey.com. Hey, man, let's shift gears for a second because I'm fixing to ride up and go over and talk to another cat. But, man, I want to talk to you more about your compound here. When I rolled up, man, I came in here, and it was like a new car parking lot. You have the most insane VW bus collection I've ever seen. There's, give or take, 14 buses out there.
Yeah, give or take.
Well, tell me your love for the Volkswagen bus.
The love for the Volkswagen bus. Yes, I'm definitely, I call myself the Combi King, because they call them Combis. My first car was a 1968 Volkswagen Transporter bus. Mouse gray with the white top. That was the original color of it, but it did not look like that when I got it. When I bought it for $600, it was just beat to crap. It was just, I was lucky it held itself together. I'm lucky it didn't catch fire. My first car, I had it for about a year. It got me from point A to point B, sometimes point A to point A, 8.5. Yeah. But it was my first car. And then, after that, I started getting Oldsmobiles and different types of cars and completely forgot about it. Well, eventually I got to, a really good situation in life where I says, you know what, let me see if I can get my old car back. And I went out and I bought not a 68, but I bought a 67. And it was a pistachio-colored Volkswagen that's out there, and I bought it off of these guys that get Jay Leno his cars. Next thing you know, Jay Leno finds out that I bought that car, asked me to be on his show. I take the show there, and I was inspired by his car collection. The man owns like 250 cars, and it's just, it's a museum. And I says, wow, that's awesome. And next thing you know, I get a phone call, and the car guys say, hey, we found this other bus. We think you might like it. I said, well, I wasn't really looking to get another bus, but I'll take a look at it. Next thing you know, here comes this freaking bus. It's a 1954 or 1956 23-window bus. It was just mint condition. And I was like, wow. And I told the guys, well, if you see something else that's this nice, let me know. They brought me 3 more cars. And then they brought me 4 cars. And then they brought me 5 cars. And now there's almost 20 out there.
So explain to me the different kind of front end, because you were telling me that the difference between the 2 buses out there, or the mini buses out there, but the front end.
Yeah, the Widow's Peak.
Widow's Peak.
The original Volkswagen bus came out in 1949. It was a 1949 model, came out in 1950. And since then, I think they stopped making them in the late 90s. The Westphalias, they totally look different. But I've always had this fascination with them. So I says, if they were nice and I could drive them and enjoy them, then I would just keep getting them if I had the space for them. Plus, they're all investments. Every single bus that's out there has held its value and is actually worth a little bit more. So my accountant hasn't given me grief over it.
Okay, now tell me about the VW Bugs out there, because you've got a couple of ones that are pretty special.
I have 3 Volkswagen Beetles, Bugs, whatever you want to call them. One of them is a 1950 Hofmann edition. Hofmann was the first guy to bring Volkswagen Beetles to the United States. The Beetle is a lot older than 1950, but 1950 was the first year that they were released in the United States. And I have one of 3 left from that year, and this is the only one that's in that condition. So the other 2 are all just, they're beat up. So this is the only one like that.
Gabe, you're a huge wrestling fan. You've heard the name of a man named Bill Goldberg, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're aware?
I never wanted to bring that name up in front of you, but it's like you saying. You heard of a guy named George Lopez, right? You don't bring up the guy that people compare you to.
You're aware that Bill Goldberg collects cars, right?
Yes.
He loves muscle cars. So I went over to Bill Goldberg's house and had a great time with him, drank a few beers with him, had to spend the night, and it was wonderful. And then he showed me all his muscle cars the next day. We did a podcast, and I offered him $15,000 to buy about 6 of his cars, and he turned me down every time. So that one badass VW Bug that's got all the motor and everything, I would like to offer you the same amount that I offered Bill Goldberg for his muscle cars. Gabriel, at this time, I would like to offer you $15,000 for that Bug in there. Take it or leave it. What's it going to be?
Man,
no pressure.
You didn't even buy me a beer or spend the night, man. You can't. You cut straight to the chase, man. You didn't even wait till morning. You could have had pancakes or something.
Gabe, I'm offering you $15,000 for that damn Bug. Will you take it or not?
I don't think I could do it, man.
God dang it, dude.
Yeah, that's just a stereo system that's in it.
That is okay. I'm a little flabbergasted. I don't know. I was gonna have to go deeper into the well, but I'm going. Gabe, I'm gonna offer you $16,500 for that Bug out there. This Bug is worth a lot of money. Folks.
When did this turn into Pawn Stars, man?
Let me just give you a side note. Gabe, this is my final offer. $17,250. Cash.
You know what?
Cash. Are you going to say no again?
I think I'm going to have to.
This is a very valuable Bug. I'm just messing with you. If you had to pick only one car out of there, or one van and one Bug, which would it be?
Okay, so if this building went ablaze and I could only pull one Bug and one bus out, I'd have to pull the 1950 out just because it's historic, and that it'd be a shame to see that one go. The other ones you can replace those. Not that one. So that would definitely be one of them. As far as the buses go, I'd probably have to save the barn door, which is the 1952, which is also the classic.
Okay, you also got you have a Tesla, and you bought that car last time you were at my house, and you got it from a friend of yours. How many miles you put on that thing since you bought it?
I've probably put 2,000 miles on it since the last time.
Jesus Christ, you don't even drive it. You love that car. Do you want to sell that car? I will give you right now $15,000 for that Tesla. Will you take it?
I don't know, man. I got to think about that.
God dang it, Gabe. Son of a gun. Hey,
I love how when you got out of your car, you saw the car chargers, and you're like, look at that gimmick right there.
Hey, let me tell you something. When I rolled up in this compound, like I said, it's world class. Fluffy did it the right way. I rolled up, and man, he's got these charging stations because he has a Tesla, which is an electric car. Do you have another electric car?
No, but I have guests that come over that have electric cars, and I let them.
Dude, I mean, like, who was thoughtful enough to be able to put some charging stations out there in their parking lot? I mean, that's pretty badass. Mm-hmm. Now, I know how tight you are. Do you charge them for the electricity? Or are those hooked? You run a solar here.
This thing is 100% solar powered. This building, everything, the outlet that you plugged into earlier, everything's all solar powered.
I'd like to offer you $15,000 for those solar panels.
That's your bottom line number. Right
I
there.
can put them on my SUV and drive back to Marina Del Rey. You can come over and use them anytime you want.
Yeah, take them with him. I know a guy. I know a guy that can get you one.
Dude, you got a 707 horsepower Hellcat out there. How do you like that thing?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to offer me 15 grand.
Well, I am after you tell me about the car.
What was your question?
Tell me about the 707 Hellcat.
The 707 Hellcat.
Bomb.
That is more power than any person needs. Seriously, on your street, it's so much power. You tap that pedal and you put your ass in the back of that seat.
But how does it compare to the launch of that Tesla? Because remember, you took me on a ride before you left. I mean, that thing will throw you back. And of course, when you think of an electric car, you just don't think that they can possess the kind of torque they do. But they do.
You get that initial pull from the Tesla, but you got to figure side by side, the Hellcat will not only catch up to the Tesla, but blow it out of the water. I mean, it'll eventually just smoke it.
So, how many miles on that thing?
A little less than 1,000.
Man, 1,000 miles, 707 Hellcat, 707 minus 707 horsepower divided by 15.
Go ahead.
I know you're not going to take $15,000. I'm not even going to try to buy the Hellcat.
You want to borrow it?
All right, I'll make an offer on the Hellcat. You put me up to this. I'm going to offer you $22,000 for that car right now.
You know what's funny is I actually thought about it for the simple fact that car scares me.
I'm kidding. I was just waiting for Gaby. How am I going to yes and this question? Hey, the Gull Wing doors on the Chrysler 300, how are those working out for you?
I don't use them as often as, it looks cool when you park it and you just leave them up if you're going to be by the car.
Right.
When you pull up to valet and the valet goes, oh, that's pretty cool. But I spent way too much money for that to happen for me not to use them more.
What's your daily driver now? You still using the Flex?
The daily driver for me is a Ford Flex or the Escalade that's outside.
What about the Nissan? What was that? The QX3?
The Infiniti QX56.
Yeah. That's
it can be a daily driver, but that's one of those that I've had it since 2005, and that sucker's got 100,000 miles on it. So I'm trying not to, I want to keep it in that nice condition without having to go get it serviced again.
Hey man, where do you want to go to next? Because you've had some great success
In-N-Out?
with the
go?
In-N-Out. I got Broken Skull Challenge. We're going to film in 30 days. I'm on a real strict eating regimen. The Magic Mike series of movies. You were in XXL,
in both
right?
of them, yeah.
Both
the first one and the second one.
So you got more stuff on the big screen coming up, or you got any forays in the television? What's next, or the trajectory for where Gabe wants to go?
Well, there's a few things that are going on, and one of which I actually wanted to talk to you about. I have some animated films that are coming out pretty soon. I got a movie that I did called El Americano, produced by Edward James Olmos. It's coming out, and I know he did American Me, but this is definitely not nowhere near in that vein. This is a kid's movie. I also did a movie called The Nut Job Part 2. There's obviously a first one. I was in that one as well, and I know that sounds like an adult film, but it's actually a kid movie. I also did Ice Age. I was in the recent Ice Age one. Trying to think.
Y'all filmed that in Antarctica, right?
Yeah.
See what he did there? See what he did there, folks? Animated Antarctica.
Yeah, Antarctica. We were there, man. It happened.
Yeah, froze his ass off. Go ahead.
Yeah. But also I have a show that I'm not sure if you're aware of. I have a show called Fluffy Breaks Even, which is a food fitness comedy show. So here's how it works. We're always on the road. I'm always hanging out with my friends. We're always on the bus. We're always trying to find a restaurant to go eat at, okay? So the goal is, let's go find a great restaurant to eat at, have a good time, figure out how many calories we just consumed, and then the next day, we figure out what kind of a workout do we got to do to burn that off. So it's that whole concept of what goes up must come down, Fluffy breaks even. Ah. And so every week we find a new restaurant, and every week we find a new type of workout. So in the past, we've worked out with we've done CrossFit, we've done boxing, we've done wrestling, we've done yoga with DDP, we've done many different types of activities in order to break even. So I thought about okay, wouldn't it be cool to maybe, let's say, go out and have a really good barbecue somewhere, or Mexican restaurant, something like that, and then maybe break even doing the Broken Skull Challenge.
Dude.
And here's where the comedy comes in. Is most of the time we're not qualified to be participating in certain physical activities. That's where the humor comes in.
I'll give you $15,000 to run the Broken Skull Challenge, the Skull Buster.
I've seen that before. I don't know how far I could get through it. I'd try it.
Dude, I mean, that would be dude, this is bigger than WrestleMania 33.
Oh, stop it.
You and me, side by side, at the backbreaker, 70-pound log on our shoulders. They say go, and off we run. Across the Skull Buster, first side-by-side competition in the history of the Broken Skull Challenge. This could be, damn, we put up a stadium. Maybe we move the set to, where's Southern California play?
Or the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl, that's it. What was I thinking? Rose Bowl. This is big enough to pack in the Rose Bowl. Steve Austin versus Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy guy, and a head-to-head Skullbuster challenge at the Rose Bowl. Jesus Christ, I smell money. You in?
You know what? I would do it.
Hey man,
I'm easy. I'm easy like that. I mean, if physically, I will go until I can't go.
No.
That's what I tell my girl every night. I'll just, hey, you know what? I can promise you the world, but I'll just give you what I can.
I got a sweat towel and I got a bottle of water. If I make it past the 5-minute mark, chances are I'm not. But if I do, I got the sweat rag and a bottle of water right there. Gatorade in case my electrolytes are depleting.
There you go.
Potassium tablet. Every now and then I eat a banana if I need it real quick.
You got to be ready. But I've seen your show. I love your show. I think it's awesome, and I would actually train just for that show. But I would need give me at least 3 months to get
come out there and co-host it with me.
I can do that too. But hey man, if you're really offering that $15,000, now's the time to freaking make it happen.
So this as we speak now, more stuff on the big screen.
Yes. Well, the TV show we got renewed for a season 3, so we're going to be doing season 3 beginning January.
And that's Fluffy Breaks Even.
Fluffy Breaks Even.
Dude, where is that? What television station?
The network Fuse. It used to be Nuvo.
Fuse TV.
Fuse TV. So it's I want to say it's on Thursdays. I think now they just replay the hell out of it.
Right.
So, which I got no problem with. It's on all day long. I'm good with it. But that's on the horizon. I taped my pilot for a sitcom. It didn't get picked up, but it got really good reviews, so we might try again.
Dude, that's a tough market to break into.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. I'd rather stay on the road.
Well, tell me about, you did a badass recording studio here at the compound. Let's wrap this thing up. But you've got a badass green screen that drops down. Tell me the reason that you built your own recording studio back here in your compound, because I love the way you're able to do everything that you need to do and people come to you out here.
I have a YouTube channel that I haven't been utilizing as much as I should. It's got 2 million subscribers on it, and I want to start putting more content out there. So whether it's comedy or just, day in the life or featuring other comedians and stuff like that, it's one of those, you always need a green screen. You always need a place to record, and you want it to look cool. You don't want to just look like, I'm in the parking lot and I'm going to introduce somebody. I make it look official. This way I get that, and then I hire an artist to fill in the green, and then it looks magical. And then it's good recording, it's good lighting. I mean, it's top notch. So whatever it is that I'm doing, it's, And if ever I'm going to record other stuff for other people that want to do something, I just have them come down here.
Are you as busy as you want to be right now, or is there just a few more days that you could plug in? Or right now you've got a pretty good sanity. Your girl's cool with your schedule, or could you plug something else in? Because for me right now, being a little bit further down the road from you as age, I like to pick my spots now, and so I'm cool. But I know you're still scrambling out there. You spend a lot of time on the road. Is there anything else that you'd like to try to accomplish in a year, or are you booked up?
It's one of those right now where if I want to work every single day, I can, because the work is there. I just feel like I burn out a lot. That's why my hat's off to guys like Kevin Hart, who can sustain a comedy career, TV show career, film career, and still go out and run marathons. I swear there's eight Kevin Harts. There's no way that one person is doing all that. It's got to be 8 of them.
The 8 funny ones.
Eight very funny ones. I honestly would like to start having time for me. It's cool to have money and to be able to do things, but it's even cooler to have the time to do them. You say you pick and choose. It's very rare that I can go take a vacation or that I really want to take a vacation, because I'm going to go do what I do all week. Get on a plane, get on a bus, go get on a shuttle bus, go check into a hotel. The only difference is the location, but it's like, I definitely would like to start enjoying my life more. Not to say that I don't love what I do, it's just that I do it for others more so than I do for myself. The only thing I really do for me is like that car collection or just being here at the compound. I like spending time here because I built it for me, and I wanted to, I enjoy being here.
Dude, this is badass. I wish you'd have built a little wing for me, you selfish bastard. You think your old buddy Stone Cold likes
well, I showed you that little room with the air conditioning unit. Get your chair in there.
It's a little room with a window unit in it. Yeah, thanks, I appreciate it.
It's a big window unit.
Hey, on Twitter, you're at Fluffy Guy.
At Fluffy Guy.
On the internet, fluffyguy.com
Everything's at Fluffy Guy. You want to find me, you just Google the word Fluffy and all my social media. Everything's there to find.
And if we go down and hit them weights, he might come back next year as Buffy. We don't know yet.
Fluffy, Buffy. I'll grow out a beard. I'll be scruffy.
It's all the same.
I'll start kicking ass. Call me Tuffy.
Yep.
Let me know when you've had enoughy.
Oh, jeez. What could have been. That was so hokey, it was actually good. We're going to end on that note. Fluffy, thank you for an hour of your time. Actually, I've been here longer than that, and he's going to kick me out. I can either take the window or I can take the stairs. It's been good talking to you,
It's
Fluffy.
up to you. Thank you so much, Steve.
Safe travels.